So a broad paradigm we are following are guided by some of these announcements which are made by the government at international forums. And then we have a lot of set of domestic actions which are guided by the India's National Action Plan on Climate Change, which was already published in 2008 and submitted to the Framework Convention on Climate Change Secretariat. And there, I'm just pointing to the 4 key missions that we have on which we are currently operating. One, what we call this, the energy efficiency mission. The other is the renewable energy mission. The part of it is the announcement of the 20,000 megawatt grid-based photovoltaic electricity in 2022. And then we have a mission which is on sustainable habitat, which more looks at the energy efficiencies and the carbon reductions in the cities as such. And of course, we have already started some measures like the taxing the coal in a minor way to collect some revenues which could be transferred for the clean energy technologies. Beyond that, of course, India is a very strong participating country in the international instrument, which includes the CDM. Of course, the NAMA structures are still emerging, but there's already a lot of work going on in this area, and that, of course, participating in the funds which are expected to come out, and then, of course, many bilateral agreements that we already have with the several countries, including a lot of work that is happening with the Japanese organizations. Well, I don't want to go through all these the numbers here, but the key message that we have here is that whatever way we project the India's emissions in the next about 40 years to come, well, we find that actually that these emissions, even if we grow at a very slow rate, comparably as such, well, our emissions are still going to be very high compared to a kind of target which would come typically from the low carbon requirements of the 2 degrees centigrade. And so we will require to fill up the gap, which is going to be very big. We are just right now up to 2020 in the post-Durban era, which is a kind of short-term. But our aim is to make sure that we make the short-term actions which are not going to lock in the long term, the Indian economy into a high-carbon pathway. And so that's the focus that we are looking at, the line which is on the chart below, which is the low line, that India finally will have to fall somewhere onto that line in terms of emissions. However, well, under the business as usual conditions, our numbers are growing very fast. And of course, it's a challenge how to come through this. So we have already started various schemes. And one of them, of course, as I was mentioning in the renewable energy, I think we already started the so-called renewable energy certificate mechanism. That the different states are already allocated the targets, and that they are competing with each other in trying to exceed the targets, and that those states which exceed the targets would receive the additional certificates, and that they can then move to and they can trade their additional certificates. We have already another mission on the enhanced energy efficiency, and this we are delivering through currently what we call the PAT system, Perform, Achieve and Trade. In this system, we have already identified several hundred big companies and the locations which are emitting now. All these companies together currently are emitting almost more than about 50% of the India's CO2 emissions, and that these companies are getting the targets. And so, as compared to in the energy efficiency side, as opposed to giving the targets to the states, we are identifying the companies and giving them the targets, and then those who achieve more can trade their certificates with those who are achieving less than the targets which are provided to them. But the more important thing is that actually that as in developing countries, the real issue is not that in a short run how we can hit our emissions. The real issue is that in the long run how we can transit to a path of the low carbon growth. And I think one of the things that we are trying to now look at is that there is almost about 44% of the freight movement in India today is the coal. That is almost out of every 5 trains which is carrying the goods, two trains are carrying the coal from one place to another. And the idea here is that instead of moving the coal, can we locate the power plants near where the coal is and then transmit through the wire the electricity? And that we are just looking at actually some of these measures which are changing the dynamics of where the industries are located are the ones which we expect to receive a lot of gain in terms of the carbon reductions. We are, of course, currently working on what we call the transport infrastructures, which are the freight corridors. And the one freight corridor which is very well known, which is coming between Bombay and Delhi. And this freight corridor is, of course, very jointly being developed with the Japanese companies, including a lot of participation from JICA into this. And that in time to come, we expect the goods movement in India to come through a series of corridors, which would be much more efficient than the old system which we inherited from the British times, and that how to overhaul the system and move it towards a much more efficient system. That is one of the moves here. Other is, of course, the city planning. A lot of co-benefits are there. In the previous session, these were already mentioned, and that we are focusing on the co-benefits of city planning. Practically, almost all the cities which are beyond 2 million population in India are currently participating in some program or the other of reducing the greenhouse emissions from the cities. Of course, we are also looking into the connection between the energy water markets and trying to develop the Himalayan potential of the water, which has multiple advantages. One is that of getting the hydropower, which is the low carbon electricity, and also to manage the water and also to manage the floods in case of the adaptation needs into the future. And so we are currently having a South Asia cooperation on this through various mechanisms, and the South Asia cooperation, we expect actually that on this, because many of the Himalayan rivers are the rivers which are having the waters passing through several countries, and there are international treaties guiding the use of the waters in this region. And so we are just trying to have a cooperative regional solution to get the energy and water market connection and to get co-benefits for the carbon emissions. And so broadly, actually, our conception is that there is a very conventional view of reducing and getting to 2 degree stabilization, which is on the top left side, which is that there will be a carbon price and which will change the behavior of the entire economy. But I think currently we are seeing the carbon signals are very small, and we are not seeing that a lot of that is going to change the Indian economy. And so we are going by the chart which is on the right hand side on the bottom over there, by aiming at multiple actions in which the carbon price is just expected to be one of the instruments, but a large number of other instruments which we would call aligned to a sustainable development, gaining co-benefits, and that's is the current strategy that we have in India. Through this, we expect to hit and get some better benefits out of the energy security, including in the emissions of sulfur dioxide and reduction of that, because as we switch from coal towards a low carbon fuels, then we do reduce the sulfur dioxide and other things. And essentially, what we say is that we want to reduce the impact of the carbon prices on the Indian economy. I think somebody mentioned that earlier it was suggested in this forum that there could be a 3% kind of a GDP loss over the countries if we follow a 2 degree path. The whole idea that we have is that actually that by co-benefits we want to reduce that impact coming on the Indian economy in the time to come. And so to conclude very quickly on this is that we have a set of actions which we are planning for the long term and for the short term. The long term going to 2050, our vision is that of course we are committed to 2 degrees centigrade stabilization, and of course we'll be very glad to look into a 1.5 degree number also as such, and we are also already committed to a green and inclusive growth to decouple the Indian economy from the energy and the carbon emissions. And then of course that we are advocating the equitable right to sustainable development. There are a lot of discussions on that, but we want to give a concrete shape to what do we believe is this